Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline, and today I'm going to discuss some new Emmys that I found today, some old videos and how they've changed with this Emmy, and also my concerns about how these memory divergences may be heading with the future of Emmys. Okay, so I was in the grocery store earlier and I went to buy butter and I saw Land O'Lakes. Now, Land O'Lakes is an older ME for me. And what I remember from the old videos, and this was some time ago before I even made videos myself, was that Land O'Lakes had a yellow sun with rays shining out. And then some time ago, suddenly everybody said, holy cow, the rays, the yellow sun are gone, and now we have this white glowy thing only, like the sunset, and you just see this white glowy thing. Okay, so that was the ME that I remember. So today I went and I looked and I'm like, Land O'Lakes has changed again. Now they have this circle thing behind her head and the logo is behind her here. And there's some changes in the lettering and like that. I'm like, well, is that a new logo change? Or is that just an ME kind of a change? So I looked it up. And here is the history of Land O'Lakes according to Logopedia on Wiki. And according to this, the O has always been really large like this. And I do not recall the O being like really large. Now, of course, I'm not going to remember before I was born back here. But since 1949, the O has been really large and right behind her head with her feathers sticking up in front of the O. And that's what I definitely do not remember ever seeing. There was not a circle around her head and her feathers were not sticking into the name. And that's been the case since 1949, according to this, with very little variation. And you can see all of these. Now, I don't recognize any of these here. This is even more recent ones here. I don't recognize any of those. So I thought, oh, there's a brand new Emmy that has not been around long. I mean, I buy butter fairly often, and I do keep an eye on Land O'Lakes since it was a Mandela from last year. So, here's what's interesting. I remember some old videos on this, but I just wanted to kind of look at what was out there. Now, when I watched a video on this last year, somebody mentioned something to me that I had not been aware of, maybe being a female, was a kind of a trick where you can cut and paste her knees up here and make it look kind of pornographic. And I didn't know about that. But one of the reasons that I recognize one of the older videos on the Mandela effects is because they mentioned that, and I did not know about that before. So I'm looking up again, and here's another guy talking about this goofy trick that I'm sure guys would love. And here's what's weird about this video, okay? This is not from one of our Mandela people. It's talking about the cut and paste trick. All right, look at this video. First, you see what looks like the current timeline logo. Now, back in the day in 2007 or 17, when we were looking at the Mandela change, we all looked and looked and looked for the sun, the yellow sun with the rays, and we all could not find it. And it had just changed, so it wouldn't be like a case of years had passed and it wasn't on the internet anymore. I mean, if they just changed the logo, then there should be plenty of old photos on there, but we could never find any. So I never really actually expected to see it again. But this is weird now. So this guy's describing this old trick. And first he shows this Land O'Lakes image. And this Land O'Lakes image looks like it's from here, 93 to 2009. Now he's uploading this in 2014. So I don't know if he's got some really old butter or he's stealing some old video. But what's weird about this is that it changes here. So here, I killed the sound on this one, but suddenly it switches to here. So right here, it's the old one. Now watch, it switches to the one I remember with the golden rays. There it is. So this one kind of freaked me out because there it is. Now, first of all, this Land O'Lakes goes up high, and I believe that it will not impact her headdress. At least you can't tell, but it doesn't in my memory. And here is our golden sun with our rays that I recall we looked and looked and looked for that last year. Okay, so most of it's cut off here. Very interesting. And I do remember this butter thing here instead of the whole package. Now, he goes on to describe the trick, and I don't really need to go into that. But this is, as far as I can tell, the only partial image that I have seen. Now, I don't know if it's because most of the lettering is cut off and he's cut on it with scissors here or what. But for some reason, this is the only image I've ever seen since this shift of my old Land O'Lakes. Now, this one was done in 2012. Oh, wait. 2014 was uploaded in 2014. All right, here's another one where he describes the same trick. I'm not going to run the whole thing, but this one was uploaded in 2012, and you can see it's the one that we would expect, okay? Well, let's see, where was it here? Not that one, that one. Okay, so the same one as the beginning of the other video, 2012. So where did this image come from in 2014? I mean, does he have like an ancient stick of butter? And yet Wikipedia has no recollection of our yellow sun. All right, so weird, weird, weird. Okay, so going back to the video I originally saw, and this is Brian McFarlane.
So I'm looking at Land O'Lakes too.
His recollections of the butter.
And the sun used to be like kind of up high on the Land O'Lakes, and now it's dropped. Right? So I don't know. This could be a Mandela effect. I'm going to put these down as possibles, guys. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for checking out my videos. Have a great man.
Okay, so what's weird about here is that he's talking about kind of how I remember it, because the sun, he was saying the sun set. Yeah, originally I saw the yellow sun, and then there was just the white glow. But with his cursor, he's talking about this circle on her head. And that is not at all the video I saw. I mean, there was no circle on her head. And he's talking about the glow around the circle on her head and that the sun had set. He's not talking about a yellow sun versus a white sun. And so I guess this timeline version of him remembers this way with the circle. What's weird is it's oddly similar to my timeline, because you're still talking about a sun that has kind of gotten lower, but yet it's not the same at all. And I don't know if this video has changed for him or this video has always been this way for him. But he covers it in March 17th, 2017, which is interesting because then later he says, new huge Mandela effect the sun has lowered on Land O'Lakes butter. Okay, so he covered it already a month before, but now he's calling it a new huge Mandela effect. So I don't know if he just forgot in this timeline or what, but this just seems kind of a strange thing, because if you knew about something in March 17th, then in April 20th, you probably wouldn't normally do a huge new Mandela effect on the same effect. But here he is talking about it again.
Yeah, also, another thing to note about this new design. If you notice, the sun has lowered, whereas with the old design, it was up higher. You guys notice that? Somebody brought it up on my channel. I forget who it was. But the sun used to be up higher on the Land O'Lakes butter, and now it's dropped down. These A's look funny. All right, and that's all I wanted to say about that pretty much. But there's actually a little trick you can do with the butter, and it's kind of a gross trick, so I'm not going to play it for you guys. But with the Land O'Lakes girl, anyway, I just want to bring that to your attention, okay?
So anyway, there he mentions the trick. He's the one who originally taught me about the trick, even in the old timeline. So just the whole thing is just kind of weirding me out. Okay, this is not the first video that I've seen change. Another one that I saw change was by Mandela Affected, who was originally a Mandela Effected. And this is the one, and it's about the swastika. Now, this one's interesting because originally the story that I remember seeing from Mandela Affected was that the swastika was backwards in some cases and forwards in others. And the story that, and I didn't even notice this or know about it at the time, I learned it from him, except for it doesn't exist anymore. But what I learned from him at that time was that the new neo-Nazis used a backward swastika, and the original swastika was as I remembered it. And he had all this info about the neo-Nazi version and why they were reversing it, and it didn't sound really reasonable, but apparently the story was the neo-Nazis wanted to distinguish themselves from the original Nazis. And there was all this video, and he thought it was kind of strange that they would want to do that. Why not just use the original? Well, now that never happened. Now it's just, he says it's reversed, which I agree, but it's reversed for everything, not just the neo-Nazis, but for all the Nazis, it's reversed. And another thing that's weird is, usually he does not do videos that were covered by other people. And I don't, that is kind of a divergence of his normal thing. Yet in this video, he does. And he says, oh, somebody else already covered it, but I'm going to cover it anyway. And in my timeline, nobody else had covered it, and that's why he was covering it, which is more of a standard for him. So it just kind of, the whole video is kind of weird in that way, like why it diverges from his normal. So again, there's another example of a change in a video also being a divergence from normal.
And one of the first Mandela effects that I spotted was the swastika going the wrong way around. Now, I've had a look on the internet and it's still going the wrong way around. And I had a look at the videos. Now, the only person I can see that has covered this is Scanner
Hopefully I have it up loud enough.
And he recollects it going the opposite way.
I have no idea if that's loud enough.
He's put it up first. He put it up 2 months ago. So I'm going to say I 100%.
Also, the way I have it set up, I actually can't hear what he's saying. So hopefully you heard what you needed to hear. Anyway, so this is another situation where his video changed from what I remember it. Now, we've been hearing this. I mean, people are telling me my videos have changed. I've definitely heard other YouTubers say that other YouTubers' videos change. So it's not like I came up with this idea on my own, but we're all experiencing it. But what's concerning to me, especially after this last shift, there's so many that are different now. And when I first started shifting, we pretty much shared most of the same MEs. I saw most of the MEs, and I shared the same one with everybody else. But the more shifting I do, the more our memories diverge. I'm just wondering if we'll get to the point where we all have different memories. Because right now we have the thing where, like, thousands of people can't all remember wrong the same way. So therefore bad memory is less likely. But what happens if we all have hundreds and hundreds of all different memories? Because it's sort of kind of heading that way. And that really concerns me when I have a memory that's a really strong ME for me, and very few people share it. So, I mean, I don't know if that's really where we're going, but that does seem to be a trend, and it's of great concern to me. Now, it may be that by the time we get to that point, things will be so crazy that people in general will be more accepting of the ME, and we won't need the proof that we all share the same memories. But anyway, it's something that I think we have to buckle our seatbelts for this, because it's just getting weirder. And every time there's a shift, things get more and more scrambled. So anyway, fingers crossed that we can all get through it. And this is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.